Welcome, everybody. It's time for another edition of Community Matters, the one show that takes a look at all the people and organizations making a difference right here in our community. With your host, Anthony Beltran. Hey, Anthony.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. So today we have my guest today. I'm really excited about my guest and the information that he is going to be sharing with the community today. I've met a couple times so far, and I'm looking forward to several more meetings together with Mark Kohler, who is the CEO and president with Lead with Purpose. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you so much for having me.
And so, Mark, tell us about what is Lead with Purpose?
Great. Lead with Purpose, we help people lead more purposeful and inspiring lives. And we do that by giving business owners a set of tools where they can get everybody on the same page, aligned, and then all rowing in the same direction. And so we work with small business owners to help them do that. So that's what Lead with Purpose does.
Okay. And so why is that important these days?
You know, the role of the leader has changed tremendously. You know, the 20 years ago where the CEO would be at the top and trying to manage and direct everything all on their own, that can't happen anymore. The speed of business or the speed of life has increased so much that you can't manage it all on your own. So what you need to do is you need to have a really strong team. And, you know, Anthony, I think we all know earlier times in our life where we've been on a really strong team, but then we've never been the person leading that really strong team. I sort of equate it to like when someone says, hey, are you a leader, like maybe flying. Like I've flown hundreds and hundreds of times right across the United States. And when I've always gone into the airplane, I've always taken a right. And I sit in the back and I get to have my little peanuts and my soft drink for free. And then I hear the pilot come on and go, hey, we're going to have some rough weather that's coming across, right? I just hear the highlights of those things. But when you, for the first time, when you go on that airplane and you have to take a left and you're actually flying the plane, it can become really scary because you don't know what to do with all these instruments and everything. So what we do is we help business owners create a really strong team and understand that their role as a leader has to change. You have to be more of a coach, a mentor, and a teacher.
Okay, so is this does this include what size of businesses? I mean, is this only for businesses, or you and I are talking about some of the things that you've got coming up. Tell what size or who can benefit from this?
Yeah. So anybody who's running a business, we have a set of tools that are based around helping business owners, and we just launched our Leadership Candidate School, which is online, and that consists of helping a CEO and their team put together a one-page business plan. They distill everything onto a single page. The second class of that is actually going through and establishing habits and routines that help them to execute with discipline. And then the final course of that is really helping as it relates to leadership coaching, how to really fulfill that new role that you have to fulfill. So that's the set of tools that we have, and it's good for any business owner. We have business owners who are starting up businesses, and they find it very helpful to distill their entire business onto a single page. All the way up to VPs of companies that have 4,000 employees. They're using it as a departmental piece. So the tools are good for anybody that's in that position. The second thing that you're referring to is we're launching a one-page family plan. And so we're hoping to help people set a family mission statement, set a family values, rituals, and then goals. So if you go to Lead with Purpose, you'll be able to have on a single page your entire business, and you'll be able to have your entire life on a single page.
So can you describe a little bit? You broke it down into 3 different areas. Mm-hmm. Can you describe a little bit in each one of those areas what somebody might get out of and expect from each one of those segments?
Yeah. So I'll just, probably best for me to share with you a story. A lot of times I get called in and the CEO is sitting there going, hey, I'm working 14-hour days, 15-hour days, and I'm still trying to figure this out. And I always ask them, how much are you working in the business versus working on the business? almost always 99%, hey, I'm working in the business. And they think that the solution is that they'll just work one more hour in the day. And this has happened over the years, and they keep working from 12 hours to 13 to 14. So in the first phase, what we find out a lot is CEOs are saying, hey, look, I know there has to be a different way. And so what we do is we help to walk their team through 3 half-day sessions that brings the entire team together and helps to distill the entire business onto a single page. And so at the end of that 6 to 8 week session, you have a 1-page business plan that has everything long-term and then has everything short-term and how they're really connected to each other. And so business owners always say to me at the end of that, they say, hey, that's been rolling around in my head for literally 18 years, and you finally were able to distill it onto a single page. And the benefit that is brought out of that is that everybody else in the company gets to see the same exact perspective as the CEO of what success looks like long-term and short-term. So that's the first phase. We call it the engage phase because it really lets people know how what they're doing today links to making a difference in the world long-term. And we call that's putting everything on a single page.
Okay, so it sounds like really just kind of communicating vision, right? The vision, which most people really don't understand what the overall vision of the company or the firm might be. They're pretty much told, hey, these are our goals, or hey, this is what must be accomplished, but they don't really understand why it must be accomplished or what victory actually looks like and what it means. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So one of the statistics that the viewers or the community might be really interested in is Harvard Business Review found that 95% of the people in a company don't understand how what they do today links to the long-term success of the company. So if you imagine a ladder where you have long-term vision at the top of the ladder, and then at the bottom of the ladder you have the daily tasks and goals that people are doing, people don't understand the rungs of the ladder in between. So what we do is we help them to find out what those different rungs are, and so we create cascading goals that all connect to each other, from 10-year goals to 5-year goals to 1-year goals to quarterly goals. And so we help to really create that ladder. So yes, we help to bring the vision to life on a daily basis.
So why is that important both to a CEO as well as why is that important to the individuals, the executives, or even other members of that leadership?
So success today is through the team. Mm-hmm. And so you need to have everybody at every single level making great decisions. And so I'm going to share with you one other statistic is the employee engagement statistics. Gallup goes out every single year and does these statistics, ask a bunch of questions, and how employees answer those questions determines whether they're in one of 3 categories. And so this is just the U.S. workforce, but 18% of the people, Anthony, today went to their job, are in their job right now, and they hate their job. They hate their job, they don't like what they're doing, they talk bad about it, right? So they're not giving their best. Another 51% are apathetic. So if you think about it, they're show up on time, right? They leave on time. They do what's minimally necessary to get the job done. And only 32% of people are fully engaged in their job. So think about it, 70% of people are going to work today not doing their best job. And I believe that we're all born with wanting to belong to something bigger than ourselves. And so as a leader, it's your responsibility to let people know how what they do today links to making a difference in the world long term. And the biggest underutilized asset in your company are your employees. Think about it, 70% don't love their job. So you think they're giving their best? No. And I believe that that Harvard Business Review study that I shared with you just earlier, that 95% don't understand how what they do today links to the long term, is contributing to these engagement statistics. And what I found is that going through just the first phase of putting together a one-page success plan allows people to go, oh, wow, that's what I do, and I really love what I do. It also makes it really clear for people who shouldn't be on the bus, or they go, hey, look, that's not really for me. And am I going to spend the rest of my life in a job that I really don't love? No. Find a place where you're really passionate about what you do. So if you want to unleash people's human potential, you're going to be able to do that. And that's what the millennial generation wants anyways, right? 50% of millennials will be in our workforce in the next 3 or 4 years. And they want to know how what they do links to something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, and that statistic about how many people are unhappy, with their current position, I would think that's still, I would thought it was higher, right? So it seems like maybe it's going down a little bit, and maybe that is because we're getting more millennials coming in. But I thought that statistic was a lot higher, where people were just not very happy what they do, and hey, it is what it is, and they have families and financial responsibilities,
right.
and it's not as easy to jump careers these days, or jobs, right? Especially with the low savings rates,
right.
That people have these days, right? They're not doing a great job in saving for unexpected versus even the expected,
right?
So most people would say, hey, I go because I got food to put on the table and a roof to put over my head, and it is what it is. So they just show up very robot-like, as you said. Now, so for the individuals who, is there any advice you can give to, because obviously the information in a corporate setting has to have agreement, right? Has to have participation from the top, starting down. What would you tell those individuals who are part of the lower rank and file, who maybe don't know, are hearing this show and saying,
sure,
this makes sense, and I would like to learn a little bit more, but I don't think I can go to my boss. Maybe
sure.
They may never even met the boss.
Right.
So how do they take this information and better improve the quality of their life when it comes to the workforce?
I think it's everyone's right to really understand how what you do today links to making a difference in the world. I found that when a lot of companies that we've gone into, when we've gone through this first phase, we've actually had people who were in the 18% turn out to be engaged employees. Just no one had really clarified for them, like, hey, here's the real difference you're making in the world. An example is a company that is a 600-person company that they clean business offices at night. And they were trying to get down to their people like, hey, you cleaning more than businesses. You're providing business owners peace of mind that they can run their business and come to work every single morning. So the employee looks at their job in a different manner. And that's what I would recommend that they do. There's a really quick exercise you can do is if you want to put the products and services or the things that you do as a lower level employee on the bottom of a whiteboard, draw an up arrow and ask the question, why does that matter? Why do those things matter? And if you keep doing that, like asking why, and you keep answering the question and keep doing that all the way up, you'll get to the essence of the reason your company exists and the difference it makes in the world. And I can tell you it's very freeing, and there's a lot of energy that comes with understanding that. So I would highly recommend, you can watch Simon Sinek's, Start With Why. It's a great video. It's been watched, 400 million times or whatever. And I'm sure you've watched it too, but that's a great place to start.
Yeah, I actually hired him as a coach one year. So it was really about digging into your why and understanding, your why. It felt it was very therapeutic almost.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I was expecting, but it did help me really analyze, and not only what my why is, but where it came from.
Right.
And it did allow me to, that whole year it allowed me to kind of break down my thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And recognizing where some of that thinking may have come from, and then also to understand that the thinking probably is not even valid anymore, right? Because society has changed,
right?
As I'm first generation here in this country,
right?
So, understand, and it's what I teach all my advisors as well, right? Especially in a sales career. right? When freedom of time is one of the reasons why people really enjoy probably getting into the financial services industry or maybe any other sales career. But then we realize that without discipline or understanding the activity that needs to be done, freedom of time becomes the enemy,
Right.
right? Because you don't have to get out of bed, at a certain time to go punch a clock and or finish your day at 5 o'clock and go home and not worry about it, right? So it's a lot different for those people in sales, and so understanding your why is okay. Why am I going to get out of bed today and go do the things that I don't feel like doing,
Right.
Because life happens to all of us, right? And there are certain things that are the good and bad, and we're all emotional, right? Emotional beings. So it's very easy just to say, "Oh, I really don't feel like it." And when you have a job, you don't have a choice. You got to go,
Yeah.
and so compound your emotions on top of the emotions that, and I really don't like going to my job, right? And
Right.
you can see
Exactly.
it, right? Versus being your own boss, you have to have have that motivation, your why, right? Because nobody else can give it to you. It has to come from within.
Right.
Right.
I'll just add to it. I think time's our most precious commodity right now. And I don't think it's really about time management. I think it's really about choice management. Here's the thing. We all are given 24 hours every single day. You're not given 26, Anthony, are you?
No, no.
Right. So look, we're given 24 hours every single day, and you can get a life of more balance and harmony, but it's not going to happen by accident, right? You have to be really intentional, and you have to orchestrate it, because if you don't orchestrate how your day is going to play out, and you're just responding to everyone else's urgent issue, you're going to end the day exhausted and say, look at my to-do list. I didn't get anything done. So you have to be extremely intentional. And here's the thing. Where you spend your time is where you're going to get success, and is a great tool to use. Like, one of the things I would recommend, that if you're wondering, like, where the heck did my time go, keep an inventory of your time for about a 2-week time period, and then add it up and find out, hey, where am I spending my time on this, and where am I spending my time on this, and when you find out, hey, I'm not working out, or I'm not being spiritual, or I'm not spending time with my wife or my husband or my kids, that should really make you think about, hey, look at, what do I want this really to look like? And there's a famous saying, a Native American saying, and it says, no tree has branches so foolish as to fight amongst themselves. And, imagine, how a tree really works. It has a root system. The roots get the water and minerals up to the trunk of the tree. The trunk of the tree is not only the structural support, but it's also the plumbing system for the tree. It sends the water and minerals up to the leaves. The leaves, in the presence of carbon dioxide and sunlight, they produce the glycogen, which is the food. And then the leaves reward the tree back, the trunk of the tree back, with food, and that is what is used to grow the tree. Well, imagine if a tree had 3 branches and it sent 60 to 70% of its water and minerals just up one branch. What would that look like? Like, you might be really amazed, like standing so close to that tree going, wow, look at how big this one branch is. But when you took a step back and you saw one huge branch and you saw 2 other small branches, you would go like, what the heck's going on, right? There's no balance or harmony, and the personal and the family branch are not receiving the water and minerals that they need to receive. So you just got to figure that out.
Yeah, I think I have a couple of those trees in my backyard. So I'm just wondering what's going on with these plants back here.
Yeah, exactly.
We were talking earlier. One of the other things, and I love that it's the choice management.
Yeah.
Right. And so, because again, we go through our daily lives based on the choices that we make, right? And a lot of times these are just random choices. We're being very, it's being very reactive, right, versus proactive. And I think this is really kind of what we're talking about today, as well as being very proactive, right, in the lives that we want to be living, right. So first, I think the hard part is most people still. I mean, if we got to go back to step 1, right. People still don't really understand what they want, like their why, what their values are,
Right.
right? And what would make them, what would maybe create a happy life,
Right.
right? We just kind of go through life being very reactive to everything, and what would you say? What would you say to that? I mean, how does one just start?
How does one start? So there's a bunch of different tools and things that you can use. This is a very interesting process or tool that I recommend everyone do, and it would be to interview yourself on your deathbed. You right now interviewing yourself on your deathbed, and people probably say, like, what the heck does that have to do with it? And there's a whole process that you go through, and there's a set of questions you can ask yourself to get into the mode to be able to do this. Here's the thing: we all understand, really, that we want to make a difference in the world. And so when you interview yourself on your deathbed, what you do is you really get to ask yourself these questions of, hey, did I lead a purposeful life? And you'll be able to reflect upon that much easier, saying, hey, look, right now I'm not really doing that. And we have if they're interested, we have a part of our book that has that as part of it, as part of the process. But the other thing you get to do is you get to look at things like, hey, am I being forgiving? Right? We all hold on to things saying, hey, look, am I being really forgiving in what I need to do? Am I being very loving? What are the things? And when you're on your deathbed, when you're interviewing yourself on your deathbed, all the fears and all the things that we've been taught, maybe from our parents and passed down from generation to generation, they all fade away. So that's one great step to really do, is to take that time to do that and answer those questions, because then you'll get to the essence of what's the difference you will want to have made in the world.
Okay. So in regards to, right? Well, why don't we go ahead and just take a break here, and coming back, we'll continue the conversation.
Great.
When you use the Premier Rewards Gold Card from American Express, the rewards points can keep on multiplying. Buy 3 with triple points on airfare. Buy 2 with double points on gas and groceries. And a single point for pretty much every other dollar you spend on the card. Then, start choosing from over 1 million rewards to redeem all those points. Apply today, and the annual fee for the first year is on us. Call 1-800-AXP-GOLD or visit axpgold.com. The annual fee for the card is $175. See terms, conditions, and restrictions at axpgold.com.
Do you want a free analysis of your inbound marketing? Do you want it in 30 seconds or less? Then check out Marketing Grader, the free marketing tool from HubSpot. It's simple. Just go to marketinggrader.com, enter the URL that you want to analyze, and Marketing Grader will instantly give you a detailed report grading your lead generation, mobile marketing, social media, competitive benchmarking, and more. It's simple, it's powerful, and it's free. marketinggrader.com. Okay, let's pick it back up here with this fascinating talk about, I have to ask the question I was asking them offline. How do people know what they want? You would think everybody instinctively knows that, but I tell you from personal experience, having worked as a consultant to companies and listening every week to people walk in here, I'm not really sure most people really know what they want. If they do, then it might be easier. So anyway, maybe you guys can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So again, on my side, and as a financial advisor myself, and also as a coach to financial professionals, I start there as well. I mean, even when I'm doing financial planning for clients, I mean, we start
Right.
with
End
objectives.
in mind, right?
What are your goals? What are your dreams? And that's always the biggest challenge, right? When it comes to helping the people that I'm trying to help as well, right? It's very vague. Like, yeah, I would like to retire. Okay, well, tell me what that looks like, right? What would what does that look like? And they can't, they haven't even gone beyond that. Oh, I never really kind of thought of that, right? I mean, so you have to really kind of help them visualize, right? Because then it becomes really important. I see the change going on with my clients when we challenge them to tell me what that looks like and why is that important. Who are you doing that with, right? Why those locations, right? To the point that we get to, like, now people can remember the smells and the sights, right, of why they would want to be retiring on the beach over, in the certain area,
Right.
right? The foods, and they can start to get excited about what that really means, right? But again, it's not something that, it's really the hardest part that I see when I'm working with individuals,
Right.
even with the advisors that I coach, and when we talk about what's the lifestyle that you're trying to achieve,
Right.
they don't know,
Right.
They say, well, I want to be successful, but they don't know what success actually looks like,
Right.
or means to them,
Right.
right?
So I think, a couple things. I was talking about the interviewing yourself on your deathbed. I mean, it really strips away everything that you've ever learned and been taught, or things that you've been holding on as it relates to fears. And what you have to do is, you talked about it, you have to create a vision for what you want to have happen. And I recommend that people, just on a piece of paper, you can write this down, just split it into thirds and say, look, this is what I want to have happen for me personally. Right? Personal, I always define as, am I being healthy? Am I working out? Am I eating properly? Am I getting the proper amount of sleep? Right? So, and then also in that is, am I being spiritual? And if you're not religious, are you being mindful? Like mindfulness. Like, what are the things that you're doing to help you be the best that you can be? And you have to look out, just pick a date 20 years from now. I said pick a date on your deathbed, but do one 20 years out from now. And say, hey, look, this is what I want the life to look like for me personally. And then family-wise, put it out 20 years. Hey, now I have a 44-year-old oldest daughter, and I have a 42-year-old daughter. Just what does it look like family-wise? What are the activities that you're doing? And it could either be bullet points, or it could be just a paragraph, and you're just free-flowing. And then final thing is, what does it look like business-wise? Are you still in business? And if you're not in business and you own a business, what does that business look like when you walk into it? So setting a vision that you can then work towards and draws you towards that is huge. One of the things that I want to make sure the listeners understand is, you don't create this in a half an hour session,
Yes.
right? So this is something where you just take your first crack at it, right? You brainstorm a bunch of things that you want, and then you look at it and you have to keep reviewing it all the time, is going, hey, look, is that still important to me? That was important to me 3 years ago. Is that still important? But what that does is it gives you a general direction of which you want to go. Either you're going east or you're going west. So creating a vision, number one, is important. Number two is, if you don't actually get there in 20 years, no big deal, but at least you're going in the right direction. So don't be too hard on yourself saying, I have to try to create this perfect vision 20 years into the future.
Which life can change that for you, right? So life happens. So I know, as when I'm helping with my clients, and I'm in their lives for as long as we keep each other in our lives, and so I'm watching their children grow, helping them save for college, then find out that the children decided not to go to school,
Right.
or the unexpected happens, and the unexpected happens to all of us. This is what life is all about, right? Life doesn't happen on time,
Right.
for anybody, and the way it's always supposed to, the way we plan it, right? So I'm glad that you did mention that this is not going to happen in just 30 seconds, and
Sure.
because when I'm coaching other people, it takes sometimes like weeks. Right, because they're really kind of discovering themselves as well for the first time, of what really does matter to them.
Correct.
Right, because then not only are you putting down what's important to you, but you're also putting down the actionable items that you need to be doing to show, right, that's important to you. Like, what are you doing to show that this is important?
Right.
Or what are you committed to doing? And then find out that you're not doing any of that. So you have the choice to either make the decision, make the choice to start that action, and if you don't, does it really matter to you?
Right.
Right. So I might be a little direct with my guys and saying, look, you didn't accomplish these because either two things: A, it doesn't matter to you anymore, or you're just too lazy.
Right.
It's only one of those, right? It's the choice, or it doesn't matter to you.
Correct.
So let's identify which one it is, and either way, we should remove it, right? Because if you were too lazy to do it, then it probably doesn't matter to you,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. So, a lot of times, like these are some statistics that really blew me away. It was like January, I don't know, 25th, and I was in the YMCA, and I work out in the morning. And I'm telling you, Anthony, the first 3 weeks of the year, man, I couldn't get on an exercise bike. Right? Everyone's there, they're working out, they're pumping, they're going away. And over the weeks, it really waned. And I noticed because when I walked into the gym, I could just get on an exercise bike. And I started looking at some statistics. So as you're looking at creating a new vision, you have to create new habits that support that vision or behaviors that support that vision. And I just read some interesting statistics on New Year's resolutions. By January 26th, 50% of New Year's resolutions have failed. Think about that. And then February 15th is the date when that goes from 50% to 80%. 80% of New Year's resolutions fail 6 weeks in. That's, for me, like, wow, are we really that bad as human beings? And I did some more digging, and what I found out that to establish a new habit, it takes 66 days. Mm-hmm. And so what happens as you're traveling through the 66 days, which actually happens to be March 7th, as you travel through the 66 days, the first 2 weeks, the energy and the excitement of actually doing something is really what powers you through. But then what happens is, the saying, old habits die hard.
Yep.
Right, the old habit comes back, and the voices come back, and they say, "Hey, you're not good enough," or "Hey, don't worry about getting up in the morning." And so what happens as you travel through the 66 days, the new habit has to take hold and become stronger than the old habit. So as you're thinking about this, be really diligent with yourself. Of when you start something new, it's going to take you 66 days. It's not going to happen overnight. And so try to get there. And once you get there, though, that new habit becomes much stronger than the old habit, and you give it a chance to take hold. So that's really, really important to understand.
Great. So I have one more question here before we end this. The difference between going through this on your own versus maybe sharing these with somebody else, or having somebody to hold you accountable and help you to go through it. How important does it matter?
Oh, yeah. So here's some statistics to share with you. If you just think about a goal, you're 15% likely to get the goal done. If you actually write a goal down, you're 40% likely to get it done. If you write it down and tell someone about it, you're 55% likely to get it done. If you have an accountability coach where you're accountable to meet that person or spend time with that person on a weekly or monthly basis, the goal setting goes to 95% probability. So it's really important. Like, people go, "Hey, it's January 28th, it's really cold outside, and I'm not going to show up at the gym." If you can't afford a coach, find an accountability partner to say, "Anthony, you and I are going to show up these 4 days a week at 6:30 in the morning, and even if we don't work out with each other, I'm much more likely to get out of bed and get to the gym if I know you're waiting there for me, and you are too." So get some type of accountability to every single one of your goals. Hugely important to make that happen.
Or even share them with your spouse, right?
Right, that's another thing.
Things.
Yep.
Great. So if people wanted to get more information, on some of these ideas, how do they get more information? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So you can go to leadwithpurpose.com. So lead, L-E-A-D, withpurpose.com. And we have all of the information on there of how to look at our one-page business plan and our school. And then if you would like to join our Facebook group, we haven't launched the one-page family plan yet, but that's join the conversation. So you can go Facebook Lead with Purpose Facebook / join the conversation. And you can ask to be part of that community. And that community will be the first set of people who will be aware of when the one-page family plan is launched.
Great. Well, I think we're all looking forward to it. I know I am. One page sounds really simple,
Yeah.
right? And I think we're all trying to figure out how to improve, right? What we're trying to improve in the most simplest way. Right?
Yep.
So looking forward to seeing that information come out and having you as a guest in the future again.
Yeah, well, great. Well, thank you so much, Anthony. I really appreciate you allowing me to come and talk to the community. And if there's any way I can serve, please let me know.
Great. Thank you, Mark.
You've been listening to Community Matters, the only show that takes a look at the people and organizations making a difference here in our community. Brought to you by Capstone Partners.